everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Growth Digger. I'm Arishbha, Marketing Project Coordinator at Growth Natives. AI has made content creation easier than ever. Blogs can be generated in minutes, social posts can be drafted instantly, an entire campaign can be planned with a few prompts. But despite all of this, something interesting is happening. The more AI generated content we see, the more marketers seem to be talking about editing, human judgment, and brand voice. So, here's the question we are exploring today. If AI can write, why do marketers still need editors? Joining me today is Sneha, senior copywriter and editor, someone who spends her day working with content, brand communication, storytelling, and increasingly AI assisted workflows. Sneha, welcome to the podcast.
Hey Arishbha, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Sneha, I think every marketer has had this experience recently. You generate a piece of content using AI, you read it once and think, this is actually pretty good. Then you read it again and think, but I won't publish it. Why does that happen?
That's probably the most accurate description of AI generated content. The issue usually isn't about the quality, the issue is differentiation. Most AI content is good enough. The challenge is that good enough rarely stands out.
That's interesting because when people hear editor, they often think grammar, punctuation, and those spell checks. But what you are describing, that sounds much more strategic.
Exactly. If editing was only about grammar, AI would already be doing most of that work. The real job is asking, does this sounds like our brand? Does this solves a problem? Does it offer something useful? Does it deserves your audience attention?
So, would it be fair to say that AI has solved content creation problem, but not the differentiation problem?
Yes, that's what exactly happening. A few years ago, the hardest part was getting the first draft. Today, that's the easiest part. The hardest part is creating something people actually remembers.
Let's make that real for a second. Suppose two marketers use the same exact AI tool and write about the exact same topic. Why do the results end up being completely different?
Because the tool isn't the competitive advantage anymore. The thinking is, let's say both marketers ask AI to write a LinkedIn post about AI in marketing. Okay. The one marketer publishes the first draft while the other rewrites the introduction, removes generic sentences, adds a strong opinion, and include a real world example. Now, they are no longer publishing the same content. They are publishing different thinking. And that's what audience respond to.
That's interesting because people often say AI is making content look the same, but maybe AI isn't creating sameness. Maybe marketers are.
Exactly. AI can generate similarity. Humans create distinction.
That's such a good line. AI can generate similarity, humans create distinction. I think that's the entire episode summed up in one sentence.
Pretty much.
One thing I've noticed is that people often debate whether AI content is good or bad. But I feel that's the wrong debate.
Agree. The better question is whether it's finished. Most AI outputs shouldn't be treated as a final content. They should be treated as a raw material.
That's a great way to put it. Because when people say AI content feels generic, they are usually talking about content that was published almost exactly as it came out of the tool.
Exactly. The problem isn't that the content was AI generated. The problem is that nobody challenged it. Nobody added perspective, nobody added expertise or edited it.
And that's where I think marketers sometimes get confused. They outsource the effort, which is great, but then they accidentally outsource judgment too.
Yes, and judgment is the only thing you shouldn't outsource. AI can generate options, humans still needs to make decisions.
Let's talk about editing for a moment. When you review AI generated content, what's the first thing you are looking for, Sneha?
Honestly, I'm not looking for grammar mistakes. I'm looking for perspective. because that's usually what's missing. AI is excellent at summarizing what's already out there. It's not great at deciding what matters most to your audience.
That makes sense. I've noticed a lot of AI generated content sounds correct, but it doesn't really sound like it belongs to anyone.
Exactly. You could remove the company logo and publish it under 10 different brands, and nobody would know the difference. That's the problem.
It's almost like content has become easier to create and harder to own.
And that's really good way of putting it.
I've also noticed something funny. The more AI tools we get, the more content review round we seem to have. I thought AI was supposed to save us time.
It does save us time. It just changes where the time goes. Earlier we used to spend 2 hours writing one draft. Now we spend 2 hours deciding which of the 7 AI drafts we actually like.
So we successfully replaced writer's block with decision fatigue.
Exactly. Innovation at its finest.
All right. A quick question before we move on. A lot of marketers today are using prompts to improve AI outputs, and some are even actively removing patterns like repetitive structure or excessive M dashes from their drafts. Do those small editing choices actually make a difference?
Those patterns aren't necessarily wrong, but when every piece of content follows the same structure, it starts to feel predictable. The goal isn't to hide the fact that AI was involved. The goal is to make sure that content feels natural, relevant, and aligned with the brand. This is the most important part. Good editor pays attention to those details because audience notice them too.
All right. Let's say someone hands you an AI generated article today. What are the first three things you are most likely to change?
Ooh, usually three things: the hook, the perspective, and the examples. The hook matters because attention is earned in seconds. The perspective matters because information alone isn't enough anymore. And the example matters because people trust specifics more than general statements.
That's interesting because none of those sound like writing problems. They sound like thinking problems.
Exactly. That's why editing is becoming more valuable. The editor isn't fixing words, the editor is improving decisions.
That's probably the biggest mind shift marketers need to make. Editing isn't polishing content anymore, it's shaping outcomes.
Yes, sir.
There's a common belief that as AI gets better, editor will become less important. Do you agree?
Actually, I think the opposite is happening. As content become easier to produce, differentiation becomes more valuable. The bottleneck is no longer writing. The bottleneck is judgment.
That's probably my biggest takeaway so far. The bottleneck is no longer writing, it's judgment.
Exactly. Everyone now has access to similar tools. The competitive advantage comes from how you think, how you position, how you edit.
So we could say the future isn't AI versus editors, it's AI plus editors.
The best marketer won't be the people who avoid AI, they will be the people who know how to work with it effectively.
Okay, let's make this practical. If someone listening today is using AI for blogs, for emails, social posts, or whatever it may be, what's a simple framework they can use before hitting publish?
I use three checks. First, accuracy. Is everything factually correct? Second, relevance. Does the audience actually care about this? And third, differentiation. Could a competitor publish this exact same piece tomorrow? If the answer is yes, keep editing.
I love that last question because honestly, it eliminates a lot of content immediately.
Exactly. If your content could belong to anyone, it probably not building your brand.
All right, let's end with a quick rapid fire round. One liner answers only. Are you ready, Sneha?
Yes.
AI's biggest strength?
Speed.
Okay. AI's biggest weakness?
Judgment.
One thing marketers should stop doing with AI.
Publishing the first draft. My God, please stop.
Okay. One thing marketers should start doing with AI.
Challenging the output. No first draft, please.
All right. More content or better content?
Obviously, quality over quantity, better content.
Better prompt or better editor?
This one's tricky. I think both.
But you have to answer once.
Yes.
All right. One word that describes the future of marketing.
Differentiation.
And finally, AI in one word.
Accelerator.
That's a great note to end on. If there's one thing I am taking away from this conversation is it's that AI can help us create content faster, but speed alone doesn't create impact. The marketers who stand out won't be the ones using the most AI. They'll be the ones applying the best judgment. Sneha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Arishbha, for having me. This was a great conversation.
And thank you to everyone listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, use AI, just don't let it do all the thinking for you.